case. So I finally just decided to take my phone out of the case. It's the only way. I did get a new phone holder, but the way this wraps around, it's too loose to actually hold my phone. So decided to just take my phone out of the case. Why am I in a warm fuzzy in August? Because I have my 8 goody babies in the back, and we are headed to health papers today. So that's exciting, and that is exciting, and there is nothing like going to the beach to get some sun. Not that I laid in the sun, I did not, but walking to the beach, walking back, walking to the restrooms was all sun. In fact, our wonderful hosts dragged 2 umbrellas, which we couldn't have stayed on the beach the second day without the umbrellas. It was way too hot. I mean, it wasn't too hot, but the sun, the direct sun, was just too much. And so I was sitting under the umbrella, and we sat there so long that the sun moved, and pretty soon I feel the warm sun on my shoulders. It's too much sun. And I'm moving my chair into the shade of the, let me fix my rear view mirror here. Someone said, I don't know how you do good mornings and drive. Well, I was a mail carrier for 10 years, and so, that being said, I learned to keep my eyes on the road and do a lot of things. So I hope you can hear me with that back fan on high. I'm going to turn it down 1 notch. That's odd. All right, keep that on then. So yeah, so we headed to the vet with these champion goody puppies. Gosh, it's been a long time since I've been on here. I had Joy with me for the trip to Florida, and I couldn't have asked for a better co-pilot. She's my navigator when we get into the cities, and when you're going to Memphis on I-40, the bridge was shut down less than 2 years ago, but now I guess they've got the structure of the bridge back corrected or whatever, which is good. As soon as you get off the bridge, it's a 1 lane, and you have concrete pillars on both sides. And we went through there. See, we left last Sunday, a week ago Sunday, at 5, and by 6 we were on 49, the big this movie. It's not an interstate, but it's 2 lanes and it's 75 miles an hour, so it's great. We hit I-40, so 5 hours later we were in Memphis. Yeah, it was 11 o'clock, so we didn't have, hardly any traffic. Then we drove, I wanted to get past Birmingham, because going into the city in the morning is not what you want to do. So actually we stopped. It was almost 2 o'clock when we stopped. Oh, I experienced my first Bucky's. Bucky! I thought he was a squirrel. He's a beaver. Bucky is a beaver! Alright, who's fussing back there? So Bucky is a beaver. The store was enormous. We didn't really shop so much. We got fresh food, and it was just amazing. That was before we went to sleep, and so we pulled over about 2, and I crawled in the back, and we had 4 puppies. So at 3:39, I'm like, I am not sleeping, and Joy was asleep over here in her chair. And I said, my new van has this humpy bump in it, and there was no sleep. Anyway, I did sleep on the way back there, but I didn't on the way down. So anyway, I just gave it up. We pulled out of that. It was a love station, and we were somewhere kind of the lights weren't shining in our eyes. We stopped at a BP, and the lights were so bright, there was no sleeping anywhere. It was crazy. So we got back on the road, and I still wasn't through Birmingham. So I thought, okay, if I could just get through Birmingham. So I think we're on 20. there was no place to stop when we got on the other side. You'd think there'd be all these places to stop. So by 5 o'clock Monday morning, I was tired. I said, I've got to have some sleep. Been at this almost 12 hours. So we found a great place that the lights weren't in our eyes, and we pulled over at 5, and then the sun woke us up at 6:22. When the sun woke us up, I was awake. We ran in and grabbed us a bite to eat. We got back on the road, and so that who's quiet back there? Put us in Florida. We were just south of Gainesville. Really early evening Monday. And so what was so sweet about that is that we got to visit with our first, no, this was our second puppy drop. I'm sorry. We had a puppy drop as soon as we got into Georgia that morning. I'm sorry that my phone is just being weird. It's just flopping back and forth. So we did our first one with Kristen. We did our second one probably 6 hours later with, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was about 4 o'clock when we got down into Florida. It was south of Gainesville. This was so sweet. Our second puppy delivery, she had rented us an Airbnb. I don't know why I say it wrong. Sometimes I say Airbnb. She had rented us an Airbnb, and so we really got there in time to visit with them. We got to see their amazing horses. Oh my gosh, the horses were so nice. We got over to the Airbnb place, and the sweet lady that met us, that owns it, amazing lady, oh my goodness, decides when she sees the puppy, says she wants a puppy. And so she goes, well, actually I was on a business call, and Joy was visiting with her. And so she goes, wait, I want a puppy. So we're talking, visiting. Are you sure you want a puppy? She goes, yes. And I have cash. So she runs to her house. She gets this big old handful of cash, and she brings it back to me. And she goes, here. And I said, no. I said, just wait a minute. I said, just keep your cash till in the morning. I want you to go sleep on this and pray about it and see if this is what you really want to do. No, I've been praying about it, and I want a mastiff puppy. Okay. Anyway, she was just an amazing lady, and had a beautiful Airbnb next to this interesting place, and I will upload videos. I just haven't done it yet because we're still uploading videos of this goodie litter, and didn't want to confuse anybody about our vacation, working vacation. This place is called Devil's Den, which is interesting because we have a Devil's Den that is a national state park in northwest Arkansas that we ride horses at. And I've never hiked it, but I've ridden and even took green horses and trained them there because it's like this, straight up and down. It's lots of trails over there. You could ride all day on your horse. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And what it was is this big hole in the ground that went through the limestone, and so so this is in Williston, Florida. You're into the table water, the drinking water. It's clear. It was 50 feet deep, and you could see the bottom. And so she said people came from actually all over the world to scuba dive and snorkel, and she said you couldn't even get an appointment. They don't let people come in and swim. I'll upload the video. It's locked at the top, and you get steps all the way down into it. And then they have built this beautiful platform for your scuba people to come up out of the water and sit, or your snorkelers. And if we go back down, we will have an appointment and we will snorkel. Although the water was spring cold, so it was about 72 degrees, if that. It was, so Monday night, we get the puppies all taken care of, so we had 2 left. We played with them till they got tired, and then we had them out at Carlton's, so they were tired by the time we got to the Airbnb, which was 8 minutes away. They were tired, and there was a swimming pool and an RV park at this Devil's Den, is the name of this place. So we got to swim with their horses. They had horses. It was, oh my gosh, Heidi's place was beautiful. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful red barn, horse barn, and then across the road was some beautiful pasture of other horses. She goes, I'm not a horse rescue. I don't know why people keep dumping their horses with me. Probably because she's such a precious person in the Lord that she takes care of them. I could have spent all week there. It was so pretty. And what was really great, this is fabulous about our whole week. Sorry, I'm rambling on about our trip. It was only 94 degrees. So that may sound like, oh, only 94 degrees. That's not hot for Florida, folks. So it did not feel overwhelmingly hot. Joy and I, here, baby, here. We walked around in our towels and played with the horses and saw this oak tree that was 500 years old, and the branches went into the ground and rooted in the ground. It was just breathtakingly beautiful. And we got a great night's sleep. So I slept upstairs, but it wasn't stairs, it was a ladder. At 5 o'clock in the morning when I need to go to the restroom, I'm back down the ladder. So we were ready to go at 8:30. The next morning we got up, showered, and that's when we got to walk over and actually see this hole. It's not called something. It's not called she called it a certain name I wasn't familiar with, but it's called the aqua something. Underneath the limestone, where it's lakes underneath the crust of the earth. It was beautiful. I've got that blowing on me. It was beautiful. It's amazing. So then we get in the car and we're headed to Palm Coast, so back over to the East Coast. And so I thought, oh, well, we really need to get all the way down to Miami, and we're quite a ways above Orlando. And I thought about asking the people to meet us somewhere, but it was so easy to get to their house. And they acted like they wanted us to come to their house. We didn't. We're like, we charged them what the puppy nanny was going to charge them, and it paid for our trip. So we get to their house, and they love their puppy. And so in the front yard, this looks like this normal neighborhood. The only weird thing that I saw, because I'm always looking, was to the right of their house, I could see that it was this drop off. And I thought that's weird, because the whole neighborhood was flat, right? It was flat on the road, flat when we came in, and the house is flat. Didn't look like. Anyway, so we walk in the house and we're visiting, and I look out their back door, this glass on that side, and there's this 40-foot boat on the water, and it was just this finger of the canal that came up into their backyard, and that's their boat. I mean, it was all I could do to say, take this sucker out. I mean, it was, my mouth just fell open. I'm like, the first thing I said is that yours? And you're like, yeah, it's ours. It's connected to our property. It's ours. Anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, you have a boat in your backyard. You just jump on and go down out into the ocean. So, precious couple, precious people. Oh my goodness. They got John Deere, and I got to check with them this morning. I've checked with them a couple times. Anyway, they loved him, and what a blessing. It was really a blessing, everyone that paid us to bring puppies to Florida. Oh, and the other thing that Tammy did for us, it was so precious. She rented this Airbnb from her friend for us. Then I didn't know Williston was famous for peanuts. So if you want to go to this Devil's Den, let me do an ad here for Heidi. It's called Two Hawk, like the bird. Two Hawk Hammock is her Airbnb. Two Hawk Hammock is her Airbnb. I'll put that. I'm going to do a little slideshow. Clean, gorgeous, landscaped, porch so that the mosquitoes can't get you. You can sit on the porch. Big, roomy, clean, and it's right beside this place if you snorkel or that. Their property's joined. So anyway, Tammy got us every way you could make peanuts, because I guess they're famous for peanuts. Peanut butter, peanut brittle, which is delicious, chocolate covered peanuts, hot wings peanuts. They were a little too hot for me, although I like hot. And then just some plain peanuts. Tim has eaten almost all of them since we've been home. I don't even know. In this cute little bag that says Williston Peanuts. It was so sweet. I know I'm 15 minutes into this, and God is just so good to us. And I was just thinking this morning about talking. I know we haven't made it to Miami, but I'll get there. So if you are watching this and you think, I just couldn't say enough about joy, just setting beside me, keeping me awake when I need to be awake, or we were singing and we were praying together and just visiting. She never complains. The child, well, she's 25 in November, never complains, never speaks ill of anyone. And that, to me, it convicts me, because sometimes I do complain. And that's, God says, let's just not do this. So, what I thought about this morning about doing this good morning was, if in your life this is not your reality, oh, people are so generous with me, people are so gracious with me, people are so, they honor me, people are kind to me. So this is what I would say. This is what I felt like the Lord would have me say as I try to fix this. Positions. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Now, that may be a hard pill to swallow, but that's the truth. If people are not consistently treating you this way, then I would look at what you're sowing into other people's lives. So ask yourself, am I preferring other people? Am I putting other people before me? Or do I think I'm driving and my agenda is the most important and I'm going to cut everybody off and I don't care if anybody else makes it to work on time? It's all about me. And I get mad if anybody gets ahead of me. We're walking in the flesh, and Romans 8 tells us if we walk in the flesh, we're going to reap death. If we walk in the Spirit, what is the fruits of the Spirit? The fruits of love are joy. If you lose your joy, you're walking in the flesh. Peace. If you lose your peace, you're walking in the flesh. Now, I did at one time, driving back, get aggravated at someone who zoomed past me. I was behind a big truck, and he was passing. We were both trying to pass. And they're trying to get ahead of me, and I didn't let them ahead of me. And in the retrospect of eternity future and eternity past, I let my flesh rise up and say, you're not getting ahead of me. It didn't matter. It didn't impede my arrival time. It was just my flesh. Forgive me, that A type of personality. So, Romans 8, right? Walking in the Spirit. What does that look like? Patience, kindness, self-control. Tell your flesh no. So that's kind of, I felt like my word today was, if people are not treating you the way you want to be treated, are you treating people the way they want to be treated? And I'm not saying let people take advantage of you. I'm not saying not have boundaries. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, are you honoring people with your words, or are you cursing people, or are you judging people? Because all that comes back on you. Whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. So what are the fruits of love? The fruits of love are joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, Gentleness. I have the Holy Spirit. I have to, it's not that I have to work on gentleness. I have to surrender my will, not my will, but your will be done, Lord. And then gentleness can come forth. And self-control, right? So, praise God. So, if you're still with me, I'll try to finish this in 5 minutes. I just can't. It was so good. Everywhere we went was so amazing. So we get to, so they said, oh, it's only 3 or 4 hours to Miami. Well, another Buc-ee's later, it was more like 6 hours. And we were down in this place called Coconut Grove, but anyway, it took us every bit of 6 hours to get. So this next place that we delivered a puppy, amazing family, such a precious family, and they were also right on the canal, and they had a buddin too. Their house was up on these big, humongous, couldn't put your arms around them, pillars, and very modern structure, just beautiful. They had a koi pond up on the 2nd floor, and their pool was on the 2nd floor. It's just architecturally very beautiful house. And they had a bullmastiff, and he was a good boy, and he was a wiggle butt, you know. He wanted to see us. So that night we stayed with Susan, my friend that got a puppy from me almost 4 years ago from Taffy's first litter. And whenever she comes through, they stop just to see us, but if they're going to Utah, a lot of times they'll plan their stop so they can spend the night and rest and shower, and so her swimming pool is covered and almost in their house, and it's a part of their house. So you walk out, or you have to walk by the swimming pool to get to the back room. Anyway, the woman works full time on her yard. It was beyond. It looked like an arboretum. It was the plants, the trees. I've got pictures, and the pictures don't do it justice. So we got to see Sir, her big boy. He was a Turbo times Taffy, and it was so good to see them and really get to visit. Joy finally went to sleep before midnight. We shut her door and we just visited and visited. It was precious to get caught up. And her place was only 10 blocks from the ocean, so she was really close to our 3rd puppy delivery. 3rd and last. That was our last. Yes, that was our last puppy delivery. So now we're puppy free. Got up the next morning. I overslept. I didn't even wake up until 9 o'clock. And Danny first had said, be at my place at 7:30. I'm like, Danny, I had to get up at 5 a.m. to be at your place at 7:30. So he finally says, no, it's okay. Just come when you're ready. I'm like, oh, thank you. I had no idea I'd slept that long. Joy ran out and cleaned up the van and had everything organized when I got in. And he's in Miami too. Danny's in Miami. He owns 2 GNCs, really neat stores, and he's very much about health and exercise. And he has Kairos and Sasha, so we couldn't wait to see Kairos, and that was amazing to get to see them. And when we got there, we got changed into our swimsuits, and he took us to South Beach. Oh gosh, so beautiful. It was so beautiful, and I could just cry. To see the ocean, we got in. It wasn't too warm because we're on the east, we're not on the west, and swam for, I don't know, we was out there 45 minutes or an hour. Then we came back to his house, and he said, well, let's be ready to go by 6:30, and we'll go to, it's called Vera Sally's. Anyway, it's a famous, it's either Cuban or Puerto Rican restaurant. And then Susan said, I said, Susan, come and join us. And she goes, oh, that's where all the presidents eat when they're here. Oh, I go, I didn't know that. So they treated us to a lovely meal there. And come here, quit your fussing back there. Hey, baby. Somebody, they probably need to go to the bathrooms while they're fussing. And they don't want to go in the crate. Susan joined us there. She just popped in. I'm like, hey, you. And so she is just, she was born down there. She's like totally the picture of Miami, right? I mean, she's fit and tan, and she puts on a little sundress and tennis shoes and just goes wherever she wants to go. So we had a great meal there, and then we were exhausted. Came home and spent that night with Danny. Got up the next day, and this was funny. Joy said, Danny said, what do you want to do? Do I go back to the beach? And I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. Although I love the ocean. We had quite a bit of ocean the day before. And Joy says, well, Miss Sonia, Arkansas is a long ways from the ocean. I said, I know. And she goes, and we're right here, and the ocean's right here. So I started laughing. I said, okay. I said, Danny, we have a boat to go back to the ocean. So we did. Went back to South Beach, and that day, it was the day she got her little white dress on, and I took a bunch of pictures of her. She wanted pictures. Who's back there fussing? Then she also got a picture in front of the Miami, and they said Miami Beach. And then we drove along. I think that first night we drove along, it was that first night where the South Beach is what it's called, where, let's see here, where all these restaurants just open, and they had actually had the road closed one way. We went the way it was closed. We went down and drove back. Restaurants, and you're sitting, there's the road, and then there's the beach. So beautiful restaurants, beautiful, beautiful. And it was dark, so we could see. Oh, I know. We got out and we walked. We went and got some ice cream. I didn't eat, but we walked around South Beach where the shopping stuff was. So this is funny. I did not bring back one thing. And Joy, I had paid her to go with me. Of course, I bought all her food, but she wanted a trinket or something, right? And I wanted a hat because I'm a hat wearer. And we didn't see any shop like that. Well, there was one the next day, but we didn't have time to stop. Anyway, funny. We did not spend our money on any souvenirs. That's what they're called. So Thursday, then we were gonna go eat sushi with Danny and Adalia, and Julie has gotten 3 bullmastiffs from me. She got a bullmastiff from my first or second litter. My second litter, I think. Anyway, just when I got started, like in 2004, 2005, she got it from me. 2004, I think, from me. I knew her before she had the twins, and the twins are 17. So she brought Moose up to where we eat sushi. Was not very far from Southwest Ranches, where she is. And then Melissa brought Bull, who's Kairos' brother, and she actually stayed the night with us. We had a great visit. It was wonderful to see the dogs, wonderful to see Julie. We actually thought we might spend one night with Julie, but Suzanne had COVID supposedly, so we were like, nah, we're not coming over. You meet us at the restaurant. I couldn't help but hug her. I just love her. I hugged her neck. It's so good to see her. We just had a fantastic trip. So at 8:46, we're done eating. We're just sitting there visiting, and Adalia, she's the life of the party. She just loves a party. And so Joy speaks Spanish. Her mother's from Peru, so she speaks fluent Spanish. So her and Adalia, la 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 la, I never understood a thing they said. They had a good time. And I asked Danny, I said, we've got to go all the way back to Orlando. Up by Orlando's where Bill is. We were going to spend the night with Bill. And I said, he said, okay, if we leave. Oh yeah, go ahead and leave. So we had to hug, we had to take pictures. And everybody's saying, it's 3 hours. I'm like, yeah, all right. And we did need to stop and get gas. It was not 3 hours to Orlando from Miami, people. At least not for us. We got to Bill's right before 1:30. And granted, we did stop and get gas, and then they were working on the road and we couldn't get back on the interstate. It took us almost an 8-mile detour. Of course, nobody was there. It was the middle of the night, but I was aggravated. Got to Bill's, fell into bed. Max comes upstairs and guards our room, and he won't leave. And we each had our own little room upstairs. And then Bill had said, I want to take you to this river. It was Wakaiva. So it's this spring that comes up out of the ground, it's really not just trickling, it is pushing water up out of this hole. And it's a state park, they built walls and concrete around the top. It's huge, it's like 10 or 20 swimming pool big, probably 20 swimming pools, maybe bigger than that. It's huge, and it's cold. So Bill said, I want to take you to this river. So when I think river, our rivers flow a lot faster here. Clean. It wasn't very deep. It's about waist deep. Some places were deeper, mostly about waist deep. A few little alligators. He said nothing is big there. The manatees, it wasn't, because I said, I can't imagine that the manatees don't come up in here. And he said, well, it's not the season for them to be here, or they would be. Lots of fish. We saw lots of big fish, and not huge, but you could eat them. They were big. So we got up early. I set my alarm for 6:45, and Joey got up at 7, and we showered real quick, and we pulled on our swimsuits. And I never could get in my mind what it was going to look like. I just knew I wanted to swim every day that we were on this trip. Thank God. It was such a blessing. This Wakaiva was just picturesque. It was so beautiful. Joy had a kayak and Bill and I had a canoe. I think I paddled maybe 5 minutes of the 2 hours. So it didn't take us 2 hours to get up to the spring. We just really went slow, and it did take us almost an hour to get up there. And then Bill said, you have to swim. I'm like, I'm here to swim. And I put my foot in the water. I'm like, this is freezing. This is as cold as our springs in Arkansas. And so he said, now don't dive, because it was only about this high. He said, just step into the water. When I did, Joy was tall enough to stand up. I had to swim most of it. So we swam for probably an hour. And we kept getting out of the water because it was so cold. You're like numb. Then we walked, and then they had up at the top, they had a little shack, food shack. We got an ice cream, and we got back to his house. Casey had made us some meatballs the night before, because we didn't arrive in time to eat. So we had a lovely lunch, and then I'm like, I'm sleepy. Could we just take a nap? He goes, yeah, I'm kind of tired. I might rest too. So we laid down, and I got up at 3:30, and that 2-hour nap, I went right to sleep, was what we needed. Because we left a little after 5 on Friday from Bill's house, and he's Apaka, but he's kind of near Orlando. And we left at 5, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's going to be all this traffic. There wasn't any traffic. There was no traffic. We got right out on 426, I think, and then we got out on 75 north, I think. And this time, so before our first drop, praise God for locals, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. She said, do not get into Atlanta. And I'm so glad we listened to her. And so on the way down, Monday on the way down, we took kind of, where you go through towns. It's 55, it's 65, it's 55, it's 65, it's 45. And we got to stop by this really sweet, because I wanted fresh peaches, in this amazing roadside, but then the back really was. There are orchards. Joy got some strawberry ice cream, and they had grown the strawberries, and it wasn't too sweet. And I got a whole bunch of 3 pounds of pecans, and we got peaches, fresh peaches, and she got a little thing of honey. And we're glad we didn't spend any more time there. We spent more money, but that's exactly what I wanted. It's a roadside stand, and we never would have been that if we would have been on the interstate. But coming back Friday night, we went right through Atlanta, and I was so glad that it was midnight. I think it may have been after midnight when we got to Atlanta. 5, yeah, that would have been 6 to 12. It was right at midnight when we went to Atlanta, and, trying to navigate and stay on. So after we got through Atlanta, I said, Joy had been asleep for quite a while. I said, you drive and let me rest. I think I popped up every 10 minutes. Are you sleepy? No, Miss Sonia, I'm not sleepy. I did finally get to rest for a little while, and then I think it's about 2:30. She's like, okay, I'm getting sleepy, and I had to go to the bathroom, so she pulled over, and we slept from 3 till 6. We found a Love's, and we turned the car. Well, the car wasn't off because of the air conditioner, but I crawled in the back, and she slept up here, and we actually slept. And then when the sun started coming up, we popped up and drove home Saturday. And she got us way on the other side of Birmingham, almost to Tupelo. We were less than an hour to Tupelo, so she did a good job. So her mom says, "What are you doing, Joy?" And Joy says, "Well," or I guess she asked, "How much have you drove?" She drove 2 hours on the way down. She goes, "Well," like I wouldn't have done this trip without someone to help me, because she drove when I needed to shut down and just really go to sleep. So, and it's not just about driving, it's about having someone to navigate and help you get through the city and get on the right exit. So the one time I did not listen to my navigator coming through Memphis, on the way down, I thought I knew where I needed to go. I thought we needed to be on 55. So I jumped on 55. She goes, "No, Miss Sonia, it's exit 6B, I think." And I jumped off a quarter of a mile too soon, or 3/4 of a mile too soon. That cost us 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, I promise I will not navigate and drive. I will just drive and you can navigate. She didn't care, She's along for the ride. Anyway, we had a wonderful time. If you're still with me, God bless you. Be blessed. And through this whole trip, I was just humbled and by everyone's precious generosity and allowing us to stay and treating us like royalty and paying for everything and feeding us and taking us around like we're tourists. It was a trip of a lifetime. We were so blessed to finally meet some of our puppy owners too. Anyway, Palm Coast was gorgeous and easy to navigate, to get in and get out, and what a precious family that got that puppy. I'm trying to think of what they named him. I'll have to program it in. Anyway, this is what I'd say. It was a little taste of heaven. Folks, heaven is a real place where we're going to get to swim and boat and fish and horseback ride, and it's a real place where we're going to get to sit and visit for hours, where we're going to get to walk through fields of flowers, and where we're going to get to worship the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, who saved us, and He is the door to heaven. He is our entrance into heaven, and the sweetest of fellowship with Him and with one another. And so that's what I would say about this trip, is that it was a little taste of heaven. So don't miss heaven. Don't miss heaven. There's nothing here on this earth. Nothing. No pleasure, no fame, nothing. What would a man exchange for his soul. There's nothing. Love Jesus. He loves you. He loves you. So be blessed.